Hello and meow to you too! Welcome back to another video. My name is Saphwyn, the silly Deco YouTuber, and today we are diving into some more casual geographic. If you are new to my channel, yes, I am really a biologist. I went to school for 6 years. I've worked with wild animals. I've worked with domesticated animals. I sadly have never worked with any of the monkey family, or that in that case gorillas. But I'm sure I will learn lots of cool things this video. I hope you guys learn lots of cool things this video, and I hope you enjoy being with me, and I will put a smile on your face. That is my goal this video, to try and put a smile on your face. So if you want to like and subscribe, remember to do that. I am on the road to 50,000 subs, and it would mean the world. But let's dive in and learn some more about gorillas, shall we? This slide is crazy. Oh my
The greatest
gosh.
trick Hollywood ever pulled was convincing the world that gorillas were something to be scared of. Whole time it's an ADHD Uber ape built like a practical joke. The gorillini is the opposite of a sleeper build. They look like a flash pass to being full-time horizontal, when really gorillas are unintentionally the most unserious animals on the planet. Almost every character trait that made them feared back in the day actually makes them adorably ridiculous.
They are.
Enough context. Like you've seen this picture, a gorilla beating its chest and maybe you next has to be one of the most intimidating sights in nature.
I mean, the overall look and the overall build and the stature of a gorilla is intimidating. At least to me, I find them intimidating. But when they do all these silly things out of context, you know, you see them in a different light, right?
Sound though. That was not edited. Whole time this display
That's the
sounds
sound
like an
they
assault on
make?
bubble wrap. King Kong had you misunderstood.
What?
Only in a movie would you see this and hear the god of thunder. It's more like someone weaponizing bubble tea in a straw. Put on a
That's
blindfold
cool.
and it's not threatening anybody but Bubble Buddy, because it sounds like his family flatlined by firing squad. It's fitting. It was widely believed that the peg pounding was considered an act of war, but newer research says that it might help gorillas avoid conflict altogether. In a study done by Edward Wright of the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Germany, it was found that the biggest, most
Wait, what year was this study done by? Because I know, like, for a majority of time growing up, it was like, you know, if they're pounding their chest, they're insinuating a war with another one. But it's cool that now with more research and more like hands-on watching them in the environment and stuff, that they're learning that it might not be the case at all. That's cool.
mountain gorillas actually produce the sounds with the lowest frequency. Something about larger air sacs or larynx, but it's considered an honest signal of competitive ability. And between two prime apes, the one with the higher frequency flesh tap might just tap out of a fight before it happens. So the chest beating actually allows smaller gorillas to avoid a fight they'd almost certainly lose.
So
and lets gorillas choose the best option, since bigger males tend to be the first choice for intercourse. That's going to be painfully ironic in a minute, but we'll get to that bridge. The other thing that apparently terrified early explorers into introverts was their jaw work. Gorillas have top 5 most inappropriate.
Well, like, okay, imagine being an explorer out here in the forest, encountering them, and you see this. Like, if this like bites you, you're going to be terrified of it, right? Like, this is a potential to bite and do harm to you, and it does look hella scary. So, like, you know, I don't blame the early researchers for being scared of them.
To work for their profession.
I don't blame it.
Right up there with camels and the gelada monkey.
Wait, I didn't realize camels have daggers in their mouth. I don't know. Apparently I need to learn more about camels. 'Cause what?
It's almost divine intervention that a lawnmower with limbs has a stronger bite force than lions, hyenas, and even a grizzly bear. And if you watch gorilla ASMR, you can literally see the muscles attached to the sagittal crest. That crest is why the gorilla has a built-in mohawk.
Interesting.
Lucky for literally everybody, gorillas only use those vice grip jaws to crush about 40 pounds of food a day. And you'll never be more grateful for their grocery list until you watch one peel a tree like a banana. All that food would mean nothing if they didn't also have a host of gut bacteria to help break it all down. Because all that bacteria work also produces gas, gorillas are almost in a perpetual state of flatulence. A troop of IBS apes break more wind than a bloated beached whale, and it's so constant that researchers occasionally track traveling families through their southbound symphony. Scientists even use—
So you're telling me that you could probably pick up on a pack of gorillas within the forest just by where all the farting noises is coming from? Is this what I'm hearing?
A gorilla-coded camera to gain insight into the secret society of this steroid simian.
That's
and what they found was that a well-fed family could blow a hole through the ozone layer. And on both ends. According to late gorilla expert Diane Fossey, gorillas burp as an act of goodwill and contentment. And you know, in some cultures, letting it out the attic is considered a compliment, but they might as well have gotten it from a knuckle-walking cow ape. On a less audibly offensive note, gorillas have also been recorded singing while they eat. Researchers refer to it as a chorus of appreciation. It's pretty cool, check it out.
That's cool.
Basically living in
That's so cool. So they're just literally in like a state of contentment here, eating their food and expressing their happiness and joy, I guess, for the company. I don't know, but that's really
Their
cool.
version of a giant gingerbread house has gorilla gangs singing out both ends. It's also a fact that they sing louder when eating their favorite foods like this banana tree stalk. And the funniest thing is, in the wild, the lead singer is actually the silverback. Science says he uses singing, or well, more like humming, to tell the group when it's time to stop and eat. And you know the law, when silverback speaks, everyone listens, and when he sings, it's time for fixings.
Oh.
But I'm not hungry.
The crew doesn't want to stop to eat, but he wants to stop and eat. He would be humming at you. It is food time. You gotta listen to this man.
Jeez, it makes sense. Few things are more dominant than the lead silverback male. You know he's the one calling all the shots and making all the decisions for a troop of up to and sometimes over 30. One could say that is the peak male form. And you remember that painfully ironic thing I promised? Well, it's about that time, but before you judge me, I'm just gonna remind you that this is strictly educational.
Okay.
But I would feel weird if I didn't say this. So if you're a child, an adult with a child, or an adult who
Should I be scared? What is he about to tell us? I don't know. He's like hyping this up, so I don't know, man.
thinks they're a child, skip to this timestamp right here. Or don't, I can't stop you, but don't let your parents blame me if you don't. Here's an ad while you consider the cost of curiosity. So, fun fact about a silverback, they're the largest apes in the world, can weigh in the neighborhood of 500 pounds, and with their private stand at attention, they're about 3/4 short of 2 inches. They don't just have the smallest waist snake of any ape, it's widely believed gorillas have the smallest member of any mammal relative to body size.
Wow.
I promise you he doesn't. In fact, if we scaled for size, we have a better chance at Subway of seeing a foot long than from a Giga Kong. I swear.
Guys, I'm just gonna admit now too, guys, you know, this is a safe place, right? Right. I've never watched a King Kong movie. I'm sorry if I just broke your heart there, but I have never, ever. I'm so sorry.
Or I'm not just using this for richer jokes. There's actually a reason gorillas ended up hung like a hamster. When you look at how all the great apes measure up, you'll, one, end up on a list, incognito can't save you, but two, you'll realize humans have more appendical advantages than just a long thumb.
Hey, how's it going?
Chimps, bonobos, and orangs are roughly about the same, but nature seemed to maliciously undercut gorillas in particular. Believe it or not, it's a direct reflection of how they live.
That's crazy. The difference between the other sizes of monkeys compared to this one is wild.
Chimpanzees live in polyandrous packs where females can mate with multiple males.
Crazy.
So there was evolutionary pressure for them to develop heavy huevos, since the more baby batter one can produce, the better chances one of his little swimmers wins the race to reality, which led to chimps having a massive man purse. I feel dirty. With humans, it's believed that earlier variants may have selected for the more groinally gifted, especially with humans being more bipedal. It'd probably be more of a factor. Eventually, that led to humans having more to flex under the waistband than just 9mm.
This is crazy. The videos that he's choosing right now to showcase to us too is wild. Like, what the heck?
It's different.
It's okay.
They often live in harems where all the females in a group practice their multiplication tables with the one silverback, which means they didn't have the selective pressure of dealing with other males like chimps, or even the pressure of females having a choice like humans.
So they don't have a choice. It's whatever like is the biggest alpha male, right, in the pack. And so yeah, so evolution was never really there because it was never like a factor. It was just like, oh, like I'm part of this crew now. Okay, good, let's go.
The theory is that a larger Nixon might have helped shovel out rival Nectar. Again, something a back of silver doesn't have to worry about. It actually ties back to the chest beating. Being an absolute unit was already so much of a flex that evolution didn't have to juice their stats in other ways. But unfortunately, it means gorillas are built like an anti-steroid ad. But also consider this, silverbacks are the embodiment of what podcast bros call an alpha male. If humans were truly meant to take cues from them, forget Snickers, we'd be packing a Skittle. And with that, I am going to power wash my search history.
I don't blame you for power washing your search history. And saying that humans would be packed like a Skittle is mad. It is absolutely crazy work. Be right back. Yeah, go scrub that history real quick. Scrub it.
Also, silverbacks aren't the aggressive jocks that movies made them out to be. Turns out
well, no, this is the same thing that happened with like sharks and everything too, right? Where they make like this animal a big, ferocious, crazy looking predator, aggressive animal. And then the more you dive deep into them, the more you're like, oh, like they're not as aggressive that Hollywood showcased them, or they're not as bad in the case of like a bat as Hollywood showcased them, right? It's just like glamorizing or the over glamorizing of certain animals, creatures, whatever it may be to Hollywood. And, you know, that leaves a negative impact to the human, which is kind of sad when you think about it, but it's just like the way that the world has been forever now, I feel like.
lot more involved in raising children than we thought.
Interesting.
Research actually shows that if a gorilla were to lose its mother, as long as it still isn't living off her milk, they still have an equal shot at surviving.
That's
it's because
cool.
silverbacks don't give child support, they are the child support. It's
That's
even
awesome.
been proven that gorillas are more attracted to the sensitive, child-nurturing males and not really the aggressive bully types, which is probably why they put up with so much disrespect and why the father instinct might not just apply to gorillas. You might remember in 1986, a child fell into a gorilla enclosure, crazy how often that happens, and 400-pound Yumbo went over and tried to comfort the unconscious boy. Even when the boy came to and understandably panicked, instead of wilding out at the sudden disturbance, Yumbo calmly guided the other gorillas to a corner of the enclosure while first responders rescued the boy. Ironically, this was during a time the majority thought gorillas were bloodthirsty savages patrolling the underbrush of Africa. That literally could not have been further from the truth. In fact, it led to one of the most infuriating arguments I keep letting myself get baited into. Anytime someone brings up gorilla versus grizzly, all I can think is, you don't know gorillas, and you really don't know grizzlies. Forget bears. There's cases of leopards causing problems for a plus-size primate, with records finding past tense gorillas with puncture wounds around the head and neck.
Ew.
Now, leopard attacks on—
I mean, there's always like, you know, an exception to the abnormality when it comes to animals, when it comes to really anything. So what we think is one thing, there's always like normally an exception or like an out of box thing.
A full-grown male are rare. But if a 150-pound big cat is a genuine threat, a 10-foot, 900-pound revenant plot device would slaughter a roid monkey. And really, the more you think about it, the more disrespectful the question is. Y'all stay playing on a grizzly's body. Especially since the gorilla himself wouldn't even want that smoke. For all that bulk, they'd definitely rather run away than run a fade.
A lot of things would rather, you know what? A lot of things would rather run away though. That's just like the way of nature. It's like, is it worth the energy or is it not worth the energy? If it's worth the energy, it's like perfect. If it's not worth the energy, sorry about that. But if it's worth the energy, it's like, you know, but like if it's not worth the energy, it's better to normally like flee than to fight.
Run away than run a fade. Imagine thinking they can match up with a grizzly when gorillas can get humbled by a change in weather. And I just love that gorillas in captivity and in the wild have no problems playing in the water, but when it falls out the sky, it's suddenly unacceptable. Also, I don't know if you've seen that corgi that gave its owner a heart attack until she realized the only victim was a jar of jam. Turns out gorillas might have done the same to early explorers.
Imagine working like your 8 hours or whatever it may be, and you're coming home to your corgi on the ground looking like that. That is a heart attack in the making, but meanwhile he's in like a food coma because of all the sugar he just consumed from the jam.
One could only imagine seeing the blood-soaked fangs of this behemoth up close, only to realize gorilla grills come from the tannins in their diet, and for reference, tannins are the same ingredient that makes coffee bitter. And I think that's just gorillas in a nutshell. They look like they could do an absolute number on the human population, but I could not find one verified case of a gorilla murking a person. Attempts may have been made, but if you watch this video, you know she basically begged for it. Plus, it's—
Why this must be the most disrespected job on earth? Is that zookeepers? I guess we're gonna have to go watch that one, and I will tell you some more about my zookeeping and animal experiences during it. I guess that is the next call.
Captivity. In the wild, you actively have to try to get gorilla gloves put on you. They genuinely give you every possible warning before they do. And even if you ignore the chest beat, the flashing teeth, and all the other signs a gorilla might give you, usually the most they'll ever do is bluff charge. Now let me not be ridiculous. A gorilla could absolutely turn you into a human jigsaw puzzle. And for all I'm talking, a bluff charge from a gorilla would have my soul pump faking the higher power. But gorillas got stuck with the monster label, which means it distracted people from the fact that they're the most unserious animals on earth. What do I mean? Well, you remember what I said about silverbacks being fathers? Well, this is Hauko. Hauko is a proud father of 4 who loves nothing more than to play with his children. Problem is, sometimes his mate isn't too eager to let him rock with such a small baby, so in all of Hauko's infinite wisdom, he came up with a solution. He f***ing kidnapped her. Repeatedly. And yes, he did this with all his children, proving—
Look at him! Look how like nice though. I'm not like, no offense, he is kidnapping the baby away from the mother and the herd or whatever. But you see the way that he's holding the baby? Like he has that baby like held to pretty good, like held to death when he's trying to kidnap it.
It really is.
It's crazy.
I'm sorry, you can't. You're telling me I'm supposed to be afraid of this? This is chronically unserious.
Are these not gorillas in captivity though? This looks kind of like a captivity, you know, like an environment. So like he keeps trying to kidnap the baby, but they're not in, you know, the wall is closed. They are in an enclosed space and they could only go so far.
But not unsurprising, gorillas have a genuine sense of humor. Had Mary and Cooper have known, King Kong might have had a different storyline. Like Exhibit B, watch enough gorilla videos and you'll notice they have an interesting habit of grenading. As in, they'll throw something and immediately run away like Skeletor. Now, you could argue it's a territorial, non-verbal way to tell humans to F off, but that goes against my narrative, so I'm gonna disregard it. Also, they've done it so many times exactly like this, it's like, how am I not supposed to see this as a prank? And if you need more proof, Coco, the sign language speaking gorilla, once tied her caretaker's shoelaces together and then signed the word chase. Now I know there's been a dispute as to whether
I wonder if like they must know that they do this intentionally. It's like trying to get a reaction of the person maybe, but
Coco actually learned sign language or was just a master mimic that learned sign language the same way dogs learn words like sit. There's a much more nuanced conversation to be had on whether Coco was a genuine case of comprehension or just memorization and regurgitation. But that's not why I'm mentioning her here. It's because she was involved in one of the most absurd lawsuits I've ever read. In 2005, 3 female former staff members filed a lawsuit against the Gorilla Foundation because allegedly Coco was demanding that the workers flash her. And no, I do not mean with lights.
Excuse me?
According to Nancy Alperin and Kendrick Keller, program director Francine Patterson told them that Coco had an obsession of the mammary variety and pressured them to expose their upper halves to the gorilla, even implying that their jobs would be in danger.
The history as such might date back to Coco's mother, who reportedly did not have enough breast milk to feed her. The suit in any case says that Patterson would interpret hand movements by Coco as a demand to see exposed humans. She warned that their employment with the foundation would suffer. Okay. Well, the thing is, threatening employment is probably the biggest issue here, right? Like, and not doing that. Like, if they're not comfortable doing that and then you tell them that their job is on the line, I see it. I see why they are suing you. Like, I do see that. Like, that's kind of, you know, I don't think following the guidelines of employment.
Danger if they refused. They refused. And some of the quotes that will come out of this suit are almost too ridiculous.
One example, one at least 2 incidents in mid to late June, Patterson intensely pressured Keller to expose herself to Coco while they were working outside where other employees could potentially view Keller's naked body. See, especially like in a case like this, like if she's in the public eye, technically, other people are going to see her, and then you're forcing her to do that for like the sake of Coco. Like, I feel like there's lots of layers to this scenario, and I feel like, you know, it's crazy.
To be real. And apparently Coco did not discriminate, with one man recounting a time Coco went up to him and demanded to see his human headlights at a party, no less. He didn't even say no. He said
That's
later.
Crazy.
And according to him, Patterson put an arm around him and basically hit him with the, "Do you really want to say no to her?" There were other complaints like unpaid overtime, dangerous work environment, them apparently storing gorilla urine in the same fridge they ate out of, but none as outrageous as a 350-pound bosom bandit. Especially when you find out Patterson would switch up majorly when big-time donors came around. What do I mean? Well, apparently whenever Coco would make one of her requests in front of a possible benefactor, Patterson would just say, "Oh, you know, nipple sounds like people." So what she's really saying is she wants to see more people. Yeah, they should have read the verdict.
Okay, so there is lots of layers to what happened with Coco and everything here at the foundation. This is like why, like, this is, you know, shitty workplaces when it comes to animals is inevitable, and it's so sad to see so many like conditions like this. I don't know.
Because who even lies like that? I don't think that's how sign language works. The case was,
and the only reason is they're not going to showcase, like, if you have a big buyer, big spender, big supporter, founder, like whatever it may be, who's showing up to your animal shelter, like, you're going to be on your best behavior, right? So they're not going to know all of this. And like, even like she told them that it meant people when it didn't mean people, and that's just straight up lying, because that's where the money for her foundation comes from. It's sad. It's sad to hear, really. Like, I find it sad to hear, and I hope the workers are all okay now, and everyone else is okay.
I guess we'll never know, but to be fair, how would multiple people lie about something like that? It means gorillas are the only animals to be formally accused of harassment of the sensually explicit kind. But it also proves that gorillas are just like us. They can multitask and focus on 2 things at once. I mean, they only share 98% of our DNA, and for the loud minority that's gonna somehow take offense, or, you know, make it racist, because, you know, I read the comments. I challenge you to spend a day—
Bro, why are so many people are so rude on the internet? For what reason? What does being rude on the internet gain you IRL, man? Like, why? Why? So many people are so proud with the way that they act on the internet when they're rude AF to, like, everyone they watch or everyone they interact with. I don't know, man. I will never get over it. I do not know. It is wild to me, but, like, to each their own, I guess. Like, I don't know. It's crazy. I feel like people are so negative, and it's just like, why? Like, if you don't like the video, you know, go to the next one. Go find something else. Like, why? Why? Like, why are you sit here and just hate on the video if you're not enjoying it? You know what I mean? It's just crazy to me. I don't know, man. My mini rant is over. Sorry about my mini rant.
Watching a gorilla and tell me it's not an impulsive human in a fursuit. Like, I bet half y'all didn't even realize that's a gorilla walking in the background. Yeah, this was a pretty unserious video for a remarkably unserious creature, but the point wasn't really to Disneyfy a wild animal. That's arguably as bad as turning them into monsters. But there is so much more to gorillas than a fade with Godzilla or the US Army, and I kinda wanted to show that. Especially when you realize gorillas have been getting slaughtered for as long as we've known about them, for bushmeat, for trophies, pets, and sometimes just for the sport, so us calling them dangerous is kinda wild. But I get it. Talk is cheap when it's in front of a green screen. So if this video gets 200,000 likes, I will meet a gorilla in person. Somewhere. Or an orangutan, and that works too. But until then, drink water, hug your mother, never smile at a gorilla. Fun fact, clearing your throat sends a much better message. And I'ma see y'all.
See y'all later. See y'all later. Showing local gorilla her reflection.
Oh, that's a good shot.
That is a good shot.
She's looking like
She's like side-eyeing it. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the prettiest of them all? I think it's Ferris. I think I screwed that up, didn't I? That's so cool, though. The smile. Oh, that's awesome. This is why I love animals, man. I love animals. They're so good. They're so good. You know what time it is? If you made it all the way to the end of the video, comment down the gorilla emoji and or any monkey emoji. But like, you know, gorilla emoji, because we just watched a gorilla emoji. Just showing and commenting down the emote just shows that you watched the whole video. And I absolutely love when you guys spam the comments with whatever emote I tell you. It like makes my day. It like what makes my world go around, okay? But thank you so much for watching. Remember to use code SAPH, code SAF at ADVANCEDgg for 10% off your next order. And hopefully we can get our own ADVANCEDgg flavor one day. That is the end goal. But see you guys on the flip side. Have a wonderful day and goodbye, everyone.